fisherman. Chindo loves fishing. He's looking through his tackle box. A bobber. Look in the fly box. That might work.
Could be trouble.
Fly box. That looks good.
Fly box. Could be trouble.
Beyond. Maybe only dog is still out there. Anything? Huh?
Could be trouble. Dog is still.
Dogs portrayed as partially human or partaking in human-like behavior is not something uncommon through media. Since humanity first tamed dogs, they've always been loyal companions to us. I think we like to portray or humanize dogs this way because many of us do consider dogs to be some of the best friends one could possibly have.
Okay? It's the same reason as to why America, Kaya, please just
have a little bit of patience. I know you've been staying there for hours now and you might need to stretch your legs and drink, so I will end stream soon so we can go take a walk in the park. I love you and respect your needs.
So the desire or the fantasy that a dog could talk or act like a human is understandable. Just imagine how many times you wished you could tell something to your dog in a way he could understand, telling it that the thunderstorm is ultimately inoffensive and that he shouldn't be scared. Telling it that the medicine you keep getting in a WWE match against him in order to shove down its throat because disguising it as a treat doesn't work is actually for his own good, or simply to tell him about your day. But dogs are not always sunshine and rainbows. Cynophobia is the fear of dogs, and it's ultimately a completely justifiable fear. Dogs, after all, used to be feral, untamed, predators in the wild who would relentlessly hunt their prey in large packs, and even nowadays, some of the most domesticized races can still display at times a certain feral behavior. Dog Nightmares is an analog horror series by Piggy whose major theme that it revolves around is our relationship towards dogs and how this relationship can affect us. In this video, I will attempt to dissect and analyze the series and try to explain it while also creating a theory of my own and setting all of its events on a timeline. If you've seen other videos of mine, you already know what I'm about to say. If this sounds interesting to you, then you should definitely go ahead and watch the original series first. You can find it all on Piggy channel, which will be linked below in the description. The entire series takes around 30 minutes to watch, and I totally recommend it. It's at the same time one of the best and the creepiest analog horror series on YouTube. It's mysterious, it's eerie, and it will probably give you human nightmares. After watching it, you can return to this video and we can rewatch it together and properly analyze it. Before we start, you should consider leaving a like and subscribing to my channel. I cover a lot of horror related stuff, so if you clicked on this video, chances are you might be interested in whatever else I have to peddle. And now, let's begin. The first episode, Dog Show, is rather short and doesn't exactly reveal anything beyond working as what could essentially be described as a teaser to give us a little taste of what this series is going to be like. The episode begins and we see someone laying in their bed in the dark, looking at a tape, featuring two characters with dog heads instead of human heads. The person reaches for what appears to be an old Polaroid photograph. There is something written on it, but the dark room makes it hard to tell both what's written and what the actual photograph is. Suddenly the audio from the program glitches out, and as the person lowers the photograph, we see a rather disturbing looking dog on the screen, looking directly at the person recording. The original program quickly resumes, with the last word we hear being,
Could be trouble.
The tape we see at the beginning was originally part of many of the artworks by William Wegman, an American photographer and painter known for a series of artworks involving dogs, primarily his own Weimaraner dogs, wearing different costumes and posing as humans. Well, I have to say that I'm immediately hooked in. I have no clue whatsoever what is going on, but this has definitely managed to catch my attention. Let's see what the next video has in store for us. Dog Nightmares, Childhood Dreams begins with what appears to be a collage of different pictures taken at a zoo, each picture followed by a hand-drawn rendition of the animals, likely drawn by a child. We see occasionally pictures of what most likely seems to be family members gathered in a home. Our attention is drawn momentarily to a picture of a staircase, as drawings of what appear to be a dog on the same staircase are flashed on screen for a few times. We see a picture of a little girl afterwards. As the music interrupts, we are shown one final picture, that of a window, and we can just barely make out that there is something outside of the window, something that disappears immediately after. The slideshow ends and another video begins. This time we are offered a point of view of someone with a camera recorder, collecting from the floor the same drawings we saw previously, before the attention shifts towards one particular drawing that depicts a humanoid dog wearing a red shirt and seemingly waving its hand from a window. Did you catch that? If not, let's go back a bit. For a few moments we can actually make out a figure behind the window. Details are hard to determine, but by looking carefully we can notice a resemblance with the creature in the drawing. So it appears so far that whoever the main character is, she's currently experiencing a sort of haunting by this dog creature. The reason for this haunting, or whether the creature is actually hostile or not, is unknown. I did like this video a lot. The horror in it was subtle. The beginning music inducing a false sense of security, only for it to suddenly cut away. The tiny hidden details across the whole episode, like the drawings of the dog appearing for a few frames, its presence being hinted at in the photo and in the drawing, only for it to appear very subtly at the end in the window, vanishing quickly. So quick in fact that it might actually be missed. There's also a few more interesting details in this video. Many photos that we see during the slideshow do feature a date at the bottom right corner. I'm going to take a note of these dates for now, and if more are revealed in other videos, we might actually be able to, perhaps, establish a timeline of events. I'm not new to analog horror or ARGs in general, and let me tell you, when an author goes out of their way to include dates in their art, it's generally because they want the audience to establish a timeline in order to better understand the story, but without spelling it out directly. Show, don't tell. That's one of the golden rules of writing a good and engaging story, such as this one. All of this makes for a great horror atmosphere, and does make me curious as to where the story is going to go next. Bite is a rather short video, only 30 seconds long actually. The first 20 seconds of the video feature a humanoid dog preparing for a fishing trip, in the same style of the dogs from the first video. This one though might be special. Notice the resemblance of its clothes with the one from Childhood Dreams. The final part of the video is different. It's another cam-recorded footage, showing a missing dog poster hanging from a tree. At the bottom left, we can see a date, 11th March 2009. I think that for now there isn't much to say about this particular video, so let's skip to the next one. 1/04/2009. The title in this case is Another Date. Given that so far all of the dates were written in the American format, I'm going to assume it's the same case here, meaning that this date indicates the 4th of January in 2009. God, I will never understand why Americans put the month before the day. It's just wrong. But hey, it's the land where distance is calculated in hamburger pays, so not much surprise here. The video starts with a few captions in Comic Sans. The Comic Sans isn't important here, but I do like pointing it out because I hate Comic Sans as a font. We see another Wegmans skit, this time featuring dogs at a restaurant. This is mostly just the original skit, excepting for a small detail appearing about 30 seconds in the video, where the visuals briefly distort, revealing the dog posing as the waiter simply staring unnervingly at the audience. It is clear by now that whatever this entity is, it is haunting the main character of the series. The reason as to why is unknown, but they appear to be aware of its existence, as it has appeared numerous times by now, on their television, on the stairs, out of their window. Could this be somehow related to the missing dog poster we saw? They are clearly not the same dog, so we'll have to keep watching and hopefully figure out what exactly is going on. Dog Nightmares My New Best Friend, Episode 1, is the longest video from the series, over 14 minutes in length, meaning that we can assume there to be a fair amount of exposition. Although, if you've seen some of my other videos where I cover other analog horrors, you'll suspect that these kind of videos always leave you with more questions than answers, and a complete picture is necessary to solve at least part of the puzzle, while our own theories will fill the gaps. Let's just see how many pieces of the puzzle we can get in this particular video. The episode begins with another Wegman skit, before we cut off to another recording from March 24, 2009, this time showing us the full missing dog poster from before, and revealing to us the name of the dog, Bailey. Pages from a journal begin appearing, unraveled on screen. 29th of January 2009, someone called again. They haven't found him yet, but someone keeps calling me, and every time I pick up the phone, there is silence on the other end. I keep trying to block out the number, but they just keep calling. I don't recognize the number either. It won't stop me from looking though. I still have hopes that he got picked up by a shelter or someone found him without a collar and took him in. I can only hope he's safe and sound. I'll find you, buddy. 13th of February. I managed to gather a bunch of Wegman tapes. I plan to archive as many as I can find and burn it into one disc. So far I've managed to get my hands on Mother Goose, but I'm still in search of two shorts. One is of Betty making pottery, and the other is of Betty and Crookie playing baseball. I hope someone has a copy or recorded it. 25th of February. Got a note from a friend today. He said he got me something for my late birthday. I haven't spoken to him in a while since I've been busy looking for Bailey. He wanted me to record myself reacting to his gift. I'm a little tired at the moment. I'll take a look at it tomorrow. The part that follows next in the video is essentially what we just read in the journal. The main character, Emily, films herself unpacking a birthday present received from one of her friends. We first see a green card with a Wegman clown on it. The contents of the card are, unfortunately, unintelligible due to the low quality of the camera recording. The present appears to be an old VHS tape. The tape here is a short indie movie called The Hardly Boys in Hardly Gold, directed by William Wegman from 1995 and featuring his dogs. A mix of comedy, adventure, and mystery, where the Hardly Boys, the dogs, are attempting to solve a mystery. Afterwards, we can see Emily showcasing a photo album. The album contains the same pictures we've seen in childhood dreams, and confirms that they were indeed pictures of Emily going to the zoo. I think we can make a simple connection here and say that Emily was the one who made the drawings of the various animals. The scenery here actually suggests, from the crayons and the various zoo pictures laying on the floor, that Emily had just finished drawing the animals, and that the one holding the camera recorder might have been her mother, cleaning up after her, and perhaps, just briefly, catching a glimpse of the dogman, meaning that Emily herself has been haunted by this creature for quite a while now. A creature that perhaps she viewed differently in her childhood, or that didn't present any danger, given her drawings of it. As Emily keeps showcasing the photo album, she reaches towards the end, and the video cuts. The last photo of the album is shown to us afterwards. It appears to be a photo of the missing dog, Bailey, with the one standing next to it being possibly Emily herself or her mother, depending on how old the picture is. But who is standing next to Bailey is certainly the least important detail here. It doesn't take a sharp eye to realize that Bailey looks, well, certainly not normal. It appears as if his head is twisted in a wrong way. Even the eyes themselves look uncanny, almost human-like. Something is clearly wrong here. Is this what Bailey looked like when the picture was taken? Or is this another element corrupted by the dogman, the same way the tapes were corrupted? The journal resumes. March 2nd, 2009. I keep having that dream again, the one where you're no longer with me. I know you're still out there. I kept going around asking my neighbors to keep an eye out for you. I'm sorry I couldn't come home, and you must have gone to look for me. We see a drawing of Bailey sleeping on the couch. Next to Bailey, someone is sitting. A date is on the bottom right, but it appears scratched out, save for the month, October. March 5th. I will find you. No matter how little sleep I get each day, you mean more to me. I can't live without you, Bailey. I love you. March 8th. Someone keeps taking the posters down. I had to keep putting them up. 19th of March. I found some old photos while looking for photos of Bailey. They were from my old home. I also found some old painting of mine. There was also a book I made when I was about 7 or 8. Would you like to take a look? We can look at them together. It's Bailey. The head is once again twisted, upside down. You won't be alone. We see pictures of Emily's old house. It's Christmas time. Once again, the main subject of these photos appear to be the ominous staircase. We see a drawing of Emily holding hands with the dogman. We can tell by the shirt and the tail. The drawing reads, best friend. Another drawing. Mommy has left to go to work. Emily staring out of the window. We can see 2 legs on the staircase. And I am left to play all by myself. She warns me not to open the door to strangers. And she always has a key to open the door. She says if I ever hear knocking on the front door, that I must go up to my room really fast and lock the door. There is a really big hole in the wall that's really scary. Sometimes I can hear creaking from in there. One day I ran really fast past it. When I did, I heard a doggy barking, and then silence.
I took my flashlight and went to take a look. And then I met my new best friend. The end.
The video cuts to Emily watching the Harley Boys movie. She's clutching an old photograph, the one we saw in the first video. The movie switches to another tape. Then again, the tapes are switching, frantically. They have become corrupted, but they are spelling out something.
Only the dog is still out there. Can you think? Huh? The dog is still out there. Anyway, only the dog is still out there. Can you think? Huh? The dog is still out there. Anyway.
Your dog is still out there, or do you think your dog is still out there? The dogman begins manifesting on screen. We see the picture. It's a picture of a person with a white hat and a blue jacket. The picture changes. Now there is someone else besides them. The picture becomes clearer and clearer. He's still out there. The video ends. Whoa, that was certainly a wild ride and a lot of exposition in terms of the series' story. This video was great. There were no cheap jump scares and the atmosphere was very chilling and eerie through the vast majority of the video. The reveal of the dogman was also pretty good. Despite looking like a moving piece of cardboard, it was still very eerie and unnerving. The video had a great build-up that only led to a chaotic series of events towards the end, leaving us with a new question. Who is still out there? Well, judging by the picture, I think it should be obvious. That's definitely Germa. But what have we learned from this video so far? To make a short recap, we know the main character's name is Emily. She's currently haunted by a dogman creature, one which she met the very first time in her childhood, and that came from a hole in the wall of her old house, while she was left alone. Years later, Emily got a dog named Bailey, which subsequently disappeared. She's been looking for her dog frantically, to no avail, but the dogman and her dog Bailey appear to have some sort of connection, as the tapes being corrupted by the dogman appear to suggest that Bailey's still out there, and someone else appears to be still out there. A person shown at the end, of which we have no information in regard to its identity currently. The next video, Bailey, doesn't provide much in terms of lore for this series. It's a time-lapse of Emily painting her dog Bailey resting up on the couch next to someone. It's a painting of the drawing we saw before. The next video is one that I'll skip over. There isn't much to analyze as the video is essentially a collage of fan-made art featuring the song Dog Nightmare by Jack Stauber, which the creator, Piggy does claim to be the name inspiration for the series. And yet, there is one clue to be found. Opening the video transcript does show this. Do you think I did it? We can only speculate as to what this could mean. What Are You Afraid Of is the next installment in this series. The video begins with who we can assume to be Emily seen wandering outside in the snow and finding a Polaroid picture. The same one we've seen twice now, making this episode, or at the very least this particular moment, a prequel to the first video. Another journal page, October 9th, 2008. Well, this is clearly a prequel. It's snowing. Bailey likes the snow. I remember going outside and playing in the snow with him. It's been a long day. My mom says it's time I move on, but I can't. I don't want to give up on my best friend. A video follows. We see a decorated Christmas tree and a picture of Emily as a child. And then... we hear barking. Could this be Bailey? Is Bailey back? But if that's the case, why does Emily seem so hesitant? Something is wrong. It seems like she's almost attempting to ignore it. And then she runs. A terrible revelation follows. That is not my Bailey. My Bailey is afraid of the dark. Oh man, this was a chilling one. It takes a thematic approach to the classic analog horror of people being replaced by replicas, but instead now it's dogs, which is a terrifying concept. Imagine if your pet will disappear for a while, only for it to return afterwards with different behavior, as you realize that is not your pet. While the midpoint of this episode was definitely the highlight, seeing the dogman within Emily's house barking in an attempt to maybe mimic Bailey, or simply trying to serve as a suitable replacement, I think we need to talk about the picture at the beginning. We receive a short explanation as to how Emily found that Polaroid picture, which seems to be such an important clue or focus point in this story, and that only deepens the mystery. Why was that picture just lodged in a nearby tree stump outside, maybe in the outskirts of a forest? Who put that picture there? From a narrative point of view, I think that picture denotes great writing from the author's part. I want you to think about it for a second, because I really want to praise how well written this clue is in terms of a story or a narrative. The first time that we see this picture is in the very first video. It is brought close to us in view of the audience multiple times, and yet the room is too dark for us to actually tell what the picture depicts and what does it say. We just know that there is something written on it, but we are not told what. And this ignites or sparks a sort of curiosity, but given that we don't know anything about the series at that point, it's likely we'll dismiss it, or even briefly forget about it, as we continue watching the rest of the series. The second time we see that picture is at the end of Dog Nightmares, My New Best Friend, at the very end of the video. By this time, not only we've watched the entirety of that 14 minutes long video, but also an additional other 3 videos before that, including Childhood Dreams, all which contained a large amount of exposition on matters that at the time seemed far more important than that picture, allowing us to forget about it and direct our attention towards a greater mystery, the Dogman. The moment that picture is revealed to us again, we are essentially reminded of its existence and confirmed that it was indeed an important clue. We also have a lot more context for what the general plot of this series is, and so we start making connections. But that picture is ambiguous at best. Sure, we know what the picture says now, but we don't know what it's trying to say. He's still out there. Who is still out there? The Dogman? Bailey? The man in the picture? Who is even the man in the picture? Is the woman next to him Emily herself? Could this be an ex-boyfriend? Or perhaps could this be her father? Through her drawings, we've been told from Emily that her mother used to leave her alone at home days on end when she would leave for work. But the father was never mentioned. Was he also gone for work? If that's the case, why wasn't he mentioned? He's still out there. The problem with this ambiguous message is that we don't know how to take it, because depending on who the he is referring to, this message could either be meaningful to instill hope, could be purely informational, or it could be a warning or a threat. Dog Nightmares Chapter 2, it's a video that I wasn't sure how to approach for this analysis. The title of the video does clearly state that it's a teaser, and surely that's how it feels, almost like a trailer to the series as a whole. We don't get much revealed to us, but we do get a glimpse of this pretty good visual.
Oh, I think that's him. I have to go now. But before I do, let me introduce him. I'm sure he would love to meet you.
Well, glad to see the Dogman is keeping up its usual creepy self, just further reinforce the idea of the Dogman being vastly present during Emily's childhood. The next installment is called Because You're Like Family to Me. This episode is an extended slideshow of various pictures taken at what we could assume to be a family gathering during Emily's childhood. The timestamps of the photos do actually indicate the 1st of January on the year 2000 as a date. We get to see Emily with who we can assume to be her mother. Here we have Bailey looking up, then we have Bailey in this one, just off the camera's shot, and here we have Emily with Bailey sitting next to her, and oh god, the head is upside down. Jesus, alright. Man, Bailey really cannot catch a break in this series, huh? The presence of Bailey, I think, essentially puts these photos on a timeline where Emily has already met the Dogman, and as we established previously, when she met the Dogman for the first time, neither Bailey or her father were present. Her mother is mentioned multiple times in her journals, but her father not even once. So this could possibly be an uncle, as the existence of a brother was also never mentioned. The ending features someone who we can assume to be Emily walking towards the seashore at night, and the video cuts off. The last video uploaded to date is titled Be Kind to Yourself, and it features Emily playing in the snow, and then celebrating her 8th-year-old birthday as a final message appears, be kind to yourself. This one was overall a pretty wholesome short episode. There isn't much to analyze here, at least for the time being, and with this we are caught up to date with the current developments in the series that is Dog Nightmares. Now that we have all of the context that we possibly could get, I think it's time to come up with some theories regarding this series. Looking through the comment sections of these videos, I've seen a lot of theories regarding it. Some people believe for this series to be a metaphor of sorts, a story about childhood abuse, and for the Dogman to be a representation of Emily's childhood abuser, which later on became repressed. By losing her dog, Bailey, Emily's psyche began to weaken. Due to the stress and memories of this abuse are now resurfacing, giving way for the Dogman to essentially reappear in her life, but only in her mind. While the Dogman was possibly real and a metaphor for an actual person in her childhood, the dogman now is nothing more than a figment of her own imagination, essentially unresolved trauma resurfacing. This is a theory that attempts to bring a sort of realistic explanation to the series. The answers lay in the human mind, and everything we've witnessed so far is just a metaphor for childhood abuse. But personally, I don't believe for that to be the case. I think that childhood dreams disproves the existence of the dogman as a metaphor and actually places it into reality, since during the final scene, where the mother is picking up Emily's various drawings, she actually catches a glimpse of the dogman herself in the window. He appears clearly on what is a recorded tape, thus confirming its existence in the physical world. While I do like the idea behind this theory, I personally think it's unsatisfying on many levels, so I came up with my own theory while attempting to piece this series in a timeline. Of course, do keep in mind this is a theory. I could be wrong about it. In fact, I'm most definitely wrong about it. And I do invite you to tell me whether you agree with my theory or not down in the comments, and let me know your own theories. Either way, this is what I personally believe is happening. Emily grew up as a child spending most of the time alone in her house. Her mom would leave her alone for hours every day as she had to work in order to support her and possibly couldn't afford a babysitter. Emily's father was, at this time, out of the picture. Perhaps the parents had divorced, perhaps he was dead, or perhaps he was in a line of work that required him to be away from home for long periods of time, like a truck driver. At this point in time, Bailey was probably not present, as it doesn't appear to be mentioned anywhere. As a child, Emily would spend probably most of her time drawing and watching television or taped shows, with one of her favorites being The Hartley Boys. We can also assume that she generally enjoyed anything by William Wegman. The constant loneliness was probably too much for a kid to take. In order to cope with her mother having to leave her alone for work and with her father's absence, Emily developed what was essentially an imaginary friend, something similar to a tulpa, which ended up manifesting into reality as both physical and tangible, with the head of a Weimaraner dog, the same dog breed from William Wegman's films, which she probably had a positive association with. The dogman didn't display aggression towards Emily in a direct manner, and it will only appear or show up when Emily was home alone. Coming from the dark area she was initially afraid of, Emily was most likely afraid of the dark, and thus the friend she subconsciously imagined was one that lived in the dark, thus offering a sort of safety. Sometimes later, Emily will receive a dog, Bailey. Bailey was present previous to the events of childhood dreams, as the trip to the zoo was dated 3400. Meanwhile, the holiday photos depicting both Emily and Bailey were dated 1100. With Bailey present, Emily will feel less lonely, less afraid. The need for the manifestation of her imaginary friend into the physical world, the dogman, was less and less necessary. After the trip to the zoo, Emily will begin drawing the various animals she saw, along with a depiction of the dogman outside of the house window, waving at her. I think this is an interesting detail, because previously the dogman was always depicted as living inside the house, in the dark area in the wall, but now he was outside. It is possible that his presence, his form, was somehow fueled by Emily's fears, but now that she wasn't afraid anymore, now that she had Bailey, it was time for him, perhaps unwillingly, to leave, which is why he was drawn waving his hand. He was waving goodbye, and the last person to catch a glimpse of him will be Emily's mother. Years will pass. Emily will grow up alongside Bailey as her new best friend, but one day, something will happen. Bailey will disappear. What exactly happened to Bailey is unknown. But now, with her best friend disappearing, Emily would be once again left alone. The stress, sadness, and grievance of Bailey being gone will cause her to perhaps relapse, spiral back into the same fears she had in her childhood, causing the dogman to manifest again. Now, there is a fine line that the dogman must thread in order to keep manifesting. The line in question is Emily's mental state. Given that the dogman is manifested subconsciously from her thoughts, or at least that's the catalyst required for it, any drastic change could impact that. If Bailey was to be found, then the dogman would probably once again disappear. But if Emily was to find out that Bailey was dead, or decide to stop looking for Bailey and simply move on with her life, as her mother suggested, this would also cause her to grow stronger mentally, and once again cause the dogman to demanifest, maybe even permanently this time. Emily must be in a mental state of desperation, one that was shown in one of the journal pages where she claimed that without Bailey she couldn't live anymore. The negativity beyond this line of thought, the fear, the desperation, everything mixed together is what allows the dogman to exist, and the dogman knows that. As long as Bailey is gone and Emily is unable to accept that, her subconscious mind will attempt to find a replacement, and the dogman will always be there, a manifestation of her fears. Now, this theory isn't really solid. I will be the first one to admit that. It doesn't explain what exactly happened to Bailey or why pictures of Bailey have become corrupted the way they are. This theory also essentially avoids to include the existence of the Polaroid, which seems like a pretty important plot device. But I'm lacking way too much information in order to form a solid, well-founded theory on this. We'll just have to wait for more episodes to come out in order to perhaps get proper answers. So, what did you think of this series? Do you have any personal theories of your own? Do you believe I missed something? Let me know down in the comments. I'm curious to hear your thoughts. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to the channel, as I generally cover all sorts of horror related stuff. As always, I'd like to thank this channel members for their support. It is highly appreciated, and if you'd like to join them, you can click the join button down below. Thank you for watching until the end, and I hope you have a good night. Bye bye.